This girl once lived in a happy family and was deeply loved by her father. But one day, she witnessed her father leaving a hotel with another beautiful woman, leaving her shocked and heartbroken. She decided to follow the car. While her father was driving his mistress, a young woman suddenly jumped onto the hood of the car. The father was stunned to see that it was his own daughter, Woo Ju. She screamed, "Why her?" The father immediately called for an ambulance. Soon after, the father brought his mistress home and gathered all the money in the house, preparing to leave with her to seek a new life. The wife returned home and smashed a flower pot on the floor in frustration, but didn't confront the adulterous couple, only watching as her husband comforted his mistress. Later, Woo Ju returned home, injured, but her father showed no sympathy, quickly leaving with his mistress. Seeing her mother's helpless expression, a deep hatred began to form within Woo Ju. From that day on, the father's image was removed from all family photos. 15 years passed. One day, Woo Ju dressed in a tight-fitting outfit and went to a funeral home. Wearing dark sunglasses, she entered to attend a funeral. Once inside her father's funeral service, she addressed the elderly mistress. "Someone told me that if you really need to get revenge on someone, even if it takes 10 or 20 years, you should try. So I'm trying to humiliate them in every way possible." When the old woman asked who she was, Woo Ju removed her glasses and introduced herself. "I'm Sim Chul-min's daughter. You seem to have aged quite a bit, haven't you?" Woo Ju then sat down to eat, continuously pouring alcohol into her glass. When her aunts and uncle looked at her with disdain, she brought up the 10 million won that her aunt had borrowed from her mother and never repaid. The aunt tried to change the subject, accusing Woo Ju of being disrespectful to her elders. Later, the father's wife arrived and asked Woo Ju to leave. Woo Ju retorted, "The food is so simple and cheap. You're not only stingy but also cheap enough to steal your friend's husband. Didn't you two run away 13 years ago with all of my family's savings and jewelry?" The old woman made a move as if to confront Woo Ju physically but hesitated, intimidated by her icy glare. Woo Ju announced, "I'm not here just to humiliate you. I also want that man's spirit to know that his daughter has been waiting for this day for a very long time." Hearing this, the mistress, Hee-ya, retreated inside. Moments later, Woo Ju went to the restroom, fighting back tears, unwilling to appear weak in front of the woman. She overheard her aunts gossiping about how the old woman had sold the house Woo Ju was living in as soon as the deed was in her name. Woo Ju confronted her aunt, who told her to ask the old woman directly. When Woo Ju confronted Hee-ya, the old woman pulled her into a quiet room and asked, "Didn't you come to disrupt the funeral because you already knew everything? So you don't know anything. So the reason you dressed like this was just to punish your deceased father." At that moment, Woo Ju received a call from her younger brother at home, informing her that thugs had arrived and were demanding that the family move out. When Woo Ju expressed her outrage, Hee-ya said, "Your father and I were legally married. The house was in his name, so now it's part of my inheritance." Woo Ju immediately said, "We've lived in that house for 20 years. If you take it, you'll face karmic retribution." But the mistress retorted, "Do you think karma even exists? You have 1 week to get out of there. Take this money and get a taxi home." When Woo Ju grabbed her arm, the older woman threatened, "I'll have your siblings dragged to the police station." Woo Ju walked out of the funeral home in a daze and bumped into a man, dropping her belongings. Everyone seemed to look down on her because of the clothes she was wearing. Woo Ju sank to her knees, tears starting to stream down her face. Then, she said to her friend Yoon Jun, who was walking towards her, "I tried so hard to hold back so my dad wouldn't see these tears. If people see me like this, they'll think I'm devastated by his death. I don't want to cry for him at all." Just then, a tall, handsome man also arrived at the funeral to pay his respects to Woo Ju's father. It was Hee-ya's son from another marriage, but the two rarely saw each other. That evening, the mother reproached Dong-jin for not visiting her once all year. Then, she announced, "I've transferred money to you. I know I've been married many times and haven't been able to take good care of you. But if you're having a hard time, you should have told me sooner. Why are you running around begging people for money like a jobless bum?" Dong-jin promised, "I'll pay you back." But he seemed indifferent to his mother's concern and care. Later, when his mother suggested, "Let's see each other more often from now on," Dong-jin remained silent. He was also facing difficult circumstances as his company was about to declare bankruptcy. So, Dong-jin was running around borrowing money to keep his company afloat. He had even gone to the bank where Woo-ju's sister worked to apply for a loan, but the bank manager refused to see him. Later, Woo-ju and her two siblings started packing up their belongings from the house they had lived in for the past 20 years. Their pharmacist friend, Yoon-jun, was there to help them. That day, Woo-ju's sister, Hae-seong, was working at the bank. A female customer came in and demanded to withdraw all the money from her account. Moments later, Hae-seong was grabbed by the hair and assaulted by this customer for having an affair with her husband. Despite Hae-seong's protest, "I don't even know your husband's name," the woman retorted. "My husband has one real name, but many nicknames." Hae-seong bowed her head in apology and swore, "I've never had a relationship with someone who already had a girlfriend." The woman threw down photos of the two of them together and recounted how she had worked tirelessly to support her boyfriend for the past 10 years. Now, he wanted to break up with her to be with Hae-seong. Realizing that she had become the other woman yet again, Hae-seong burst into tears and promised, "I won't see him again." But the woman didn't believe her. Suddenly, Woo-ju appeared and declared, "Believe her. If you ever see her with him again, don't come here, come find me. Because I'm her sister, and I'll handle it myself if she sees him again. Here's my number. The reason my sister hasn't retaliated until now is because she's a good person. But I'm not that nice, don't forget that." Woo-ju started throwing all the photos of her sister and the cheating man in the trash. Then, she shouted, "Why are your relationships always so terrible? Why do you always fall for these losers?" Her sister explained, "I'm a horse, and he's a dog. Horses and dogs are highly compatible." Hearing this, Woo-ju could only walk away in exasperation. Afterward, Woo-ju sought out her aunt, who told her that her father had transferred the inheritance rights to Hee-ya before his passing, leaving them with nothing. Hee-ya had already sold the house and invested all the proceeds in her son's company. The aunt acknowledged that Woo-ju had spent all her money on her mother's medical treatment and that the house was all she had left. She couldn't understand how her brother could have entrusted his assets to a gold digger like Hee-ya. As Woo-ju was leaving, her aunt handed her Hee-ya's son's business card, saying, "He doesn't seem like his mother. Maybe he'll give you money to make up for his mother's actions." Later, Hae-seong went karaokeing with Yoon-jun, belting out heartbroken ballads to vent her feelings. She poured her emotional turmoil into the songs, leaving the pharmacist to sit beside her and endure it, trying to be supportive so Hae-seong could have a good cry. After they went for drinks, Yoon-jun told Hae-seong that back in middle school, when bullies stole her expensive shoes, it was Woo-ju who retrieved them. Those bullies were the most notorious in the entire district, but she pursued them for months to get the shoes back. Woo-ju was a terrifyingly dedicated psycho. She went through so much trouble just for a pair of shoes. Now that she'd lost her house, he doubted she'd stay quiet. The next day, Dong-jin drove the fancy car that director Sun-woo had just bought to the office, making the director incredibly anxious about his new car getting scratched. Woo-ju observed from afar, thinking the car belonged to Dong-jin, and became furious that he was living so comfortably. Later, Woo-ju interviewed for a part-time office assistant position at Soo-hee's company and repeatedly expressed her sincerity about the job. Afterward, Soo-hee led Woo-ju into the office to meet Chairman Dong-jin. Woo-ju kept giving the chairman sharp looks but eventually said, "I look forward to working with you." She then left with Soo-hee. A week later, the office assistant went grocery shopping for everyone in the company. Yu-rai, a coworker, sent Woo-ju a terse message, "beige pantyhose." Woo-ju ignored the request and didn't buy them. Later, as she was lugging groceries into the elevator, Chairman Dong-jin and Director Sun-woo entered. Noticing she was going to the same floor, the director asked, "Have we met before?" Woo-ju replied, "I've seen you. I'm here around 6 p.m. every day. The rumors about you are true. People say coming to work for you is like going to the gym." She then exited the elevator. Dong-jin informed Director Sun-woo that she was the part-time office assistant, having worked there for a week. The director was irritated by the assistant's bluntness, so the chairman announced her contract was only for 3 months and wouldn't be renewed. Director Sun Woo left cheerfully. Yu Rai then approached Wu Ju about the pantyhose. Wu Ju replied, I got your message, but I didn't buy them for you. If you'd written, could you please pick up some pantyhose for me? I would have. But it felt like you were ordering me around, and I found that offensive. After Wu Ju left, Yu Rai complained to a colleague. How dare she talk to me like that when she's just a temp? She then returned to her desk and glared at Wu Ju. That day, as CEO Dong-jin left the company, Wu Ju secretly followed him. While the president ate ramen at a convenience store, the clerk was puzzled by a woman staring intently at the store. Later, the clerk asked Dong-jin, Do you know that woman? She doesn't seem very good at hiding. As Dong-jin left, Wu Ju walked alongside him, thinking to herself, if he wasn't just like his mother, he wouldn't have taken that money. Like mother, like son. A while later, when Dong-jin arrived at his building and entered the elevator, Wu Ju watched to see which floor he went to. Then, she started rummaging through the mail and utility bills to figure out which apartment was his. Suddenly, the president appeared behind her and said, If you're looking for my apartment, it's 2701. Wu Ju took off her jacket. When Dong-jin asked, Why are you following me? Wu Ju replied, Why would a girl deliberately follow a guy to his home? I'm very interested in you. The president said, You look more like you want to hit someone. If you want to talk, do it tomorrow. Wu Ju apologized for following him, but then asked, Are you always this petty? You knew everything all along, but you still wanted to see how far I'd go. Then, when I had no way out, you appeared. Do you know how petty that is? Dong-jin promised to overlook it and headed for the elevator. But Wu Ju persisted, asking, Do you rent or own this apartment? I'm just looking into the housing market because I want to move. The president replied, No one at work asks me such personal questions. Whether you're interested in me or planning something now that you know where I live, I don't care. When Wu Ju continued her provocative remarks, the president gave her a pointed look, and she decided to leave. She warned, Make sure to lock your door before you go to sleep. Burglars usually come when you're asleep. As Dong-jin entered the elevator, Wu Ju continued to scrutinize the mail delivered to his apartment. Later, while Dong-jin was showering, stark naked, there was a knock at the door. But when he looked, no one was there. The burglar then left. The next morning, Wu Ju returned to her old house, wandering around with a sad expression. Just then, some neighborhood women passed by, gossiping animatedly. They told each other, Someone new moved in yesterday. Such a shame for the 3 kids who used to live there. Turns out, it's that old lady Hiya. Later, Hiya dined stylishly with her friends. One of them asked, How could you move into such a big house? At your husband's funeral, you said you invested everything in your son's company. Did you take money from your son again? Hiya bristled, saying, It makes me sick when people accuse me of taking things. If you have so much free time, go hiking instead of sticking your nose in other people's business. At the same time, Wu Ju ran into Dong-jin at the supermarket. They exchanged greetings. Dong-jin asked, Do you live around here now? Wu Ju explained, I just moved here after being kicked out of the house I lived in for 20 years. It's been sold. Her eyes full of expectation, she added, Aren't you curious? If you are, I'll tell you everything, even how I plan to get my house back. However, Dong-jin showed no interest. He said indifferently, I'm never curious about other people's business. Disappointed, Wu Ju responded, Fine, you and I will go our separate ways. With that, she silently watched him walk away. Wu Ju arrived at work on time. While printing some documents, she overheard her colleagues gossiping about the bad blood between Chairman Han Dong-jin and Chairman Shin of a rival company. Apparently, Mr. Shin had been relentlessly undercutting their company at the Singapore Expo. A colleague wondered aloud why Chairman Shin seemed to be targeting them specifically. 2 others quickly offered an explanation. Rumor has it Chairman Dong-jin used to work at Mr. Shin's company. He stole all their important documents and ran off. There's another rumor that our company founders embezzled money from Mr. Shin, too, the whispers continued, tinged with suspicion. I wonder if Chairman Dong-jin's outwardly gentle personality is just an act. Overhearing this made it impossible for Wu Ju to concentrate on her work that day. So, as soon as evening fell and everyone had left, Wu Ju snuck back into the office and hacked into assistant Kang Min-soo's computer. Coincidentally, the next morning, the company discovered a confidential data leak. Someone had sent a mass email revealing details about the Singapore Expo, and the email address belonged to assistant Kang Min-soo. He pleaded his innocence. "I didn't send that email, someone framed me." Dong-jin, without wasting words, ordered Kang Min-soo's computer to be sent for forensic analysis and called an emergency meeting with senior management. Director Sun Woo suggested, "Let's deal with Kang Min-soo first and then find the person behind this. But I'm 100% sure it's Director Shin's doing. No one else wants our company to go bankrupt but him." However, Department Head Cha, also Assistant Kang Min-soo's boss, spoke up. "Assistant Kang has worked with me for 2 years. I've been in business for over a decade. I trust my judgment. If I'm wrong, I'll take full responsibility and resign." Chairman Dong-jin, unwilling to prolong the argument, made a swift decision. "Let's admit our mistake and offer a 5% discount on all partner orders. Things will eventually calm down." Then, turning to Department Head Cha, he said, 2 years isn't enough to truly know someone." As he spoke, Dong-jin recalled the image of his ex-lover, who had heartlessly abandoned him years ago when he was at his lowest point. A while later, Assistant Kang stormed over to Wu Ju's desk and accused her. "Last night, why were you in the office when that email was sent from my laptop? RZI saw you sneaking into the office last night, and come to think of it, you haven't even graduated from college yet. If this gets out, you're the only one who won't be affected. Weren't you standing right behind me yesterday when I typed in my password?" Wu Ju vehemently denied the accusations. "I didn't do it. Find some proof before accusing me like that." Chairman Dong-jin and Director Sun Woo, standing at a distance, witnessed the entire exchange. Frustrated, after work, Wu Ju went to pharmacist Yoon Jun's workplace, venting her anger. "I initially went to the office to demand he give me back my house. But then I saw him living comfortably, driving a nice car, and living in a fancy apartment. So, I wanted to get revenge. But other than that, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not a spy. I just copied a few files in case I needed them later." The next day, Dong-jin took Wu Ju to Director Shin's residence. She was clueless as to where he was taking her. When she realized he wanted her to confront Director Shin, she angrily retorted, "Why didn't you tell me before bringing me here? Do you believe me now when I say I didn't do it?" Dong-jin questioned her. "Then why did you follow me home and go to the office in the middle of the night?" Wu Ju coldly replied, "You're just deceiving yourself. It's less painful for you to blame a temporary employee like me than to face the betrayal of a trusted colleague." Finally, Dong-jin called the office and ordered them to clear Wu Ju's desk and fire her immediately. That evening, Dong-jin invited Director Sun Woo out for drinks to unwind. A little tipsy, Dong-jin confessed that Wu Ju had hit the nail on the head regarding his feelings. He bitterly recalled her words, "It's less painful to be betrayed by a part-timer after 3 months than by someone you've trusted for a whole year." Dong-jin drowned his sorrows in alcohol. Later, on his way home, while stopping at a convenience store, he spotted Wu Ju, drunk and asleep inside. As he stepped out, Wu Ju woke up. Emboldened by the alcohol, she spoke frankly. "I'm not a spy. I may not be a saint, but I'm not easily bought and I wouldn't do something so unethical. You're blind as a bat. Sooner or later, you're going to fail." Wu Ju's words shook Dong-jin. So, the next morning, he went to the security room to check the parking garage camera footage from the night the company's data was leaked. It turned out a car had left the building very late. Dong-jin traced the car's owner, and it was none other than Department Head Cha. Throughout the meeting that day, the chairman was lost in thought. As soon as it ended, he immediately requested Wu Ju's resume and then called to schedule a meeting with her. Before the meeting, he carefully reviewed her application and observed, "She's admirable because she's not like other applicants who only list their accomplishments. What she wrote shows sincerity." A short while later, the chairman arrived at the meeting place to see Wu Ju. He sincerely said, "I discovered the spy was Department Head Cha, so I'd like to invite you back to work." While Wu Ju was hesitating, a man aggressively charged towards Dong-jin, seemingly about to attack him. Reflexively, Wu Ju pushed the man down to protect the chairman, surprising Dong-jin. The man, who had fallen flat on his face, angrily yelled, "Who are you to push me? I clearly have a higher position and I'm older than him. How dare you push me?" Wu Ju stood her ground and threatened, "If you dare touch him again, I'll call the police." Then she turned to Dong-jin and scolded, "Being kind doesn't mean just waiting for a wild boar to attack you. It just makes you look stupid." With that, Wu Ju walked away resolutely. The man turned out to be Director Kim, a close associate of Dong-jin. He had sought Dong-jin out because only the chairman knew about his wife's affair. "She served me divorce papers this morning. I'm upset, so I came to take it out on you. Actually, I'm quite envious of you, having a girl willing to defend you like that." Dong-jin remained silent. Director Sun Woo, upon hearing about the incident, was astonished. He hadn't expected the traitorous employee to have such strong feelings for Dong-jin. The chairman had no choice but to reveal, "The one who betrayed us wasn't Du, but Department Head Cha. I investigated and found out. He's been meeting with Director Shin." Sun Woo was utterly shocked because Department Head Cha had previously sworn he'd resign if any of his staff betrayed the company. He seemed so sincere, yet he was the traitor. Compared to Sun Woo's astonishment, Dong-jin appeared much calmer. His mother had been married 4 times, and for Dong-jin, each remarriage felt like a betrayal. Those 4 times were enough to numb him emotionally. The next morning, Wu Ju dressed smartly to return to best fares. As she stepped out of the elevator, she saw the chairman waiting for her. He thoughtfully instructed, "Come to my office at 10 o'clock. Be on time." Wu Ju entered Dong-jin's office to find Department Head Cha also present. It seemed the chairman hadn't exposed the sly fox yet. As expected, Dong-jin calmly informed Department Head Cha that he had invited Wu Ju back to the company and would be assigning her to his sales team. After Department Head Cha left, Dong-jin told Wu Ju that he had given the matter careful thought and decided against exposing Cha for the time being to avoid creating another traitor within the company. Therefore, he needed her help to monitor Cha and uncover his plans early. However, Wu Ju coldly refused. She scoffed, "Mr. Chairman, you're so naive. Why would you trust me? Haven't you learned anything from the last betrayal?" Just then, Director Sun Woo received a call from a friend, who excitedly shared that he had just seen Min Young, Dong-jin's college girlfriend. This surprised Sun Woo immensely. He was about to call and confirm the information when the 2 women in question arrived. Min Young had personally come to the golf course to meet Sun Woo. Meanwhile, back at the office, taking advantage of Dong-jin's absence, Department Head Cha began to bully Wu Ju. "If you want to give me documents, bring them to me directly. Leaving them on my desk without a word is disrespectful," he ordered, tossing the file back at her. "Do it again," Wu Ju complied, but Cha continued to harass her relentlessly, much to her annoyance. She retorted, "If you're not satisfied, I'll just take it up with the chairman. Don't overreact." Hearing this, Department Head Cha became furious and demanded an apology. Other colleagues sided with him and urged Wu Ju to apologize. Feeling uneasy, during his lunch break, Department Head Cha snuck out to the stairwell and called Director Shin. "It seems Dong-jin knows something. He appears to have placed someone near me, and I'm feeling very anxious." Director Shin, busy flattering an important client, hastily hung up before hearing the entire message. During her lunch break, Wu Ju went to a small restaurant near the company. Coincidentally, Chairman Dong-jin also stopped by the same restaurant. Seeing him sit at the next table, Wu Ju remained aloof. She then frankly stated she wouldn't help him monitor Department Head Cha. "I absolutely despise him. He's rude and deceitful. I don't understand how you've put up with him for so long." Dong-jin calmly replied, "I'm a patient person. I even tolerated my girlfriend's infidelity for a whole year." At that moment, Wu Ju's food arrived. She didn't want to talk further. "Your love life doesn't interest me." Dong-jin simply lowered his head in silence. That afternoon, Mrs. He-ya cheerfully arrived at her son's company with her new lover. She told him, "Wait for me downstairs. My husband just passed away 2 weeks ago." Then, she confidently went up to her son's office. Later, Wu Ju was tasked with bringing coffee to Dong-jin's office. She was surprised to encounter this woman, But perhaps because Wooju's attire was so different from before, her stepmother didn't recognize her. After the woman left, Wooju quietly watched her get into a car with her lover. This sight brought immense pain to Wooju. She recalled the fateful day 15 years ago when she witnessed her father leaving a hotel with her mother's close friend. Overwhelmed with anger, Wooju had rushed out to stop her father's car and was hit. Crying, she had questioned her father. Why her? Back in the present, Wooju waited for Manager Tra in the parking garage. She approached him aggressively, her expression laced with meaning. The chairman knows you're colluding with Director Shin, she stated. That's why he transferred me to your sales department, to keep an eye on you. If you want this company to collapse, you better work even harder. With that, Wooju turned sharply and walked away. Later, Wooju, still feeling unsettled, went to the pharmacy to wait for Yoon-jun to get off work. She had thoughtfully ordered takeout for dinner. As they ate, Wooju told Yoon-jun about her encounter with her stepmother. Her voice dripped with sarcasm. My father's memorial service was just recently held, and she's already found new joy. How can she smile so easily, just brush everything off like that, while I'm still trapped in those horrible memories? Wooju also confessed that this was the reason she had revealed Dong-jin's plans to Manager Tra. Listening to Wooju's outpouring, Yoon-jun calmly comforted her. My friend, you did well, he affirmed. You did the right thing. That old woman put you through so much pain, so let her son taste that torment too. He paused, then continued. But since you've done that, consider it settled between you two. I hope you won't have anything to do with those two from now on. Meanwhile, Dong-jin, having finished work, didn't rush home but wandered around looking for a place to eat. Walking down the street, he ran into Hai-seong. Recognizing that Dong-jin didn't seem to remember her, Hai-seong introduced herself. I'm the person you met at the bank the other day, she said. You gave me your business card. And I'm also Wooju's older sister. I saw my younger sister with you before, looking very close. What's your relationship now? Dong-jin was surprised but replied amicably, Your sister and I are just colleagues. Seeing Dong-jin looking somewhat lonely, Hai-seong coaxed him into a nearby bar for a beer. As Hai-seong was persuading him, her younger brother, Jae-gu, also appeared. Faced with the enthusiasm of both siblings, Dong-jin agreed to join them. A little while later, Wooju and her pharmacist friend also entered the bar. The moment she saw Dong-jin, Wooju's eyes widened in surprise, while Hai-seong looked incredibly excited. Once Wooju regained her composure, she immediately pulled Dong-jin outside and demanded, Why are you here? Are you on a date with my sister? Dong-jin quickly denied it, much to Wooju's relief. She stated firmly, Then leave. I don't like you interacting with my family. Though he knew Wooju was straightforward, Dong-jin found this hard to accept. He looked directly into her eyes and said, To you, someone who holds back seems like a fool. But to me, speaking carelessly can hurt others, so it's better to exercise restraint. With that, Dong-jin turned and walked away. Later that night, after everyone had gone home, Hai-seong continued to try to connect the chairman with her younger sister. She was certain he was interested in Wooju. I told him you'd be here last time, which is why he agreed to stay. You're missing your calling as a detective. He looked so lonely, always melancholic. Definitely the type who's been hurt by a woman. Listening to her sister, Wooju tried to appear calm, but she couldn't help but recall what the chairman had told her about being cheated on by his ex-girlfriend for a year. As for Dong-jin, back at home, he drifted into a stream of memories. The image of a camping trip years ago with his girlfriend, Min-young, appeared vividly. Back then, Min-young had coldly broken up with him, leaving him reeling. He had tried to remain composed. You know I love camping, he pleaded. If you break up with me here, I won't be able to camp anymore. Can we talk about this when we get home? However, faced with his pleas, Min-young remained resolute. I'm getting married next month in America, she declared, then walked away, leaving Dong-jin with his unbearable pain. Even now, Dong-jin still hadn't fully escaped those heartbreaking memories. Afterward, the dejected man took out the trash. Upon returning, he was surprised to find a box of strawberries left by his new neighbor. Suspicious, he rang the doorbell intending to offer a polite greeting, but there was no response from across the hall. The next day, team leader Cha surreptitiously met with the director. revealing his suspicion that Dong-jin and Sun-woo had discovered his betrayal. However, Director Shin remained calm, stating that he had already contacted Director Kim and successfully brought him onto their side. Therefore, there was nothing to worry about. The old fox even chuckled. The feeling of betrayal by close acquaintances must be incredibly painful. Director Sun-woo, meanwhile, visited Director Kim at the chairman's request. Because Dong-jin had previously experienced the sting of betrayal, he was worried, as Director Kim was also being cheated on by his wife. However, Director Kim was curt upon seeing Sun-woo. "If you can't get a hold of me, you should know better. Forget the contract, just send my apologies to Dong-jin." At that moment, Woo-ju and her older sister, Hai-seong, were having lunch together. After finishing their meal, the two sisters lingered over coffee at a park. Hai-seong, curious, asked, "Why do you seem to hate Dong-jin so much?" Her younger sister replied frankly, "Because his name is Dong-jin, that's why I hate him, coincidentally." Dong-jin and Sun-woo happened to pass by and overheard their conversation. Woo-ju thought for a moment and continued, "I hate his back. It looks so lonely and sad. So what if he's handsome? His entire back just radiates negativity. I hate how he looks so stupid." Just then, Hai-seong looked up and saw the very person they had been discussing. The atmosphere instantly became awkward. However, Woo-ju tried to maintain her composure and said bluntly, "It doesn't matter if you heard. It's not a big deal to say you look pathetic." Dong-jin remained silent, but his face darkened noticeably. After work, team leader Cha invited Dong-jin's colleague out for dinner as a thank you for revealing Dong-jin's plans. Team leader Cha stated frankly that Dong-jin's company was on the verge of bankruptcy and offered to help find her another job if needed. As for Director Sun-woo, he was having drinks with Min-young. He confided, "I can't bring myself to tell Dong-jin that Director Kim betrayed us. When his wife cheated on him and ran away, Dong-jin was the one who helped him look for her and even drank with him. And yet, that guy could do this to us." Sun-woo also revealed that they had been busy gathering funds, only a large sum of capital to ensure the success of Dong-jin's exhibition in Singapore could save the company from bankruptcy. Min-young was deeply worried. After they finished their drinks and were heading home, Sun-woo asked Min-young where she was currently living. She hesitated before admitting, "I'm living across the hall from Dong-jin." It turned out that she was the one who had knocked on Dong-jin's door when she moved in. She was also the one who had been repeatedly wandering drunk in front of her ex-boyfriend's apartment, silently leaving boxes of strawberries at his doorstep. Min-young's heart ached, telling her that she still loved Dong-jin deeply. But her mind coldly reminded her, "You hurt him, and you don't deserve to appear before him again." The next morning, Woo-ju arrived at the company as usual. Seeing everyone busy at work, she suddenly remembered head manager Cha and director Shin's plan to ruin the company. They intended to manipulate all the employees into believing they had followed the wrong leader, then persuade them to resign. Thinking this, Woo-ju went to Dong-jin's office, wanting to reveal this to the chairman. However, he wasn't there today, as he was visiting Director Kim for help. As expected, Dong-jin only received an apology from Mr. Kim and a polite dismissal. "You should go back." However, Dong-jin didn't seem disappointed. Perhaps he was too used to these betrayals. "When I broke up with my ex-girlfriend," he said, "I drowned myself in alcohol every day, contemplated death every day, so I was very worried about him." He then accepted Director Kim's apology and quietly left. Upon returning to the company, Dong-jin was stunned to see his ex-girlfriend in the lobby. This unexpected encounter nearly took his breath away. Memories of their past happiness flooded back, consuming his thoughts. After a long moment, regaining his composure, he quickly approached Min-young and said, "Follow me." This scene was unintentionally witnessed by Woo-ju. Once they reached a secluded area, Dong-jin tried to maintain a calm voice. "Don't appear before me again. I think that's the last bit of self-respect I deserve." Min-young was speechless, then confessed, "I moved into the house across from yours. I only came here today because I had some business. From now on, I'll avoid you." Because of this unexpected meeting, Dong-jin got completely drunk that evening on his way home. He received a worried phone call from Director Sun-woo. "Where are you? Don't worry, I'll come and get you, okay?" But Dong-jin coldly replied, "You already knew she lives next door to me, didn't you? If you're curious about what happened back then, I'll tell you. Back then, in the midst of happiness, I received a wedding invitation from the girl I had loved for 7 years. His voice trembled as he continued. How could I have confided in anyone about that at the time? On the other end of the line, Sun Woo could only offer a quiet apology. Dong-jin hung up and stumbled across the street. Just then, a truck sped towards him at an alarming speed. In that life or death moment, Woo-ju appeared just in time and pulled Dong-jin back. Then she yelled, "Are you crazy? Why did you run into the street like that?" Seeing the worried expression on her face, the chairman froze, quickly gripping Woo-ju's wrist. It turned out Woo-ju had inadvertently witnessed the encounter between Dong-jin and Min-young. From the avoidance on his face, she guessed that the woman was his ex-girlfriend who had dumped him. On her way home, Woo-ju saw Dong-jin drinking beer alone again. He was drunk, staggering, and accidentally dropped his beer bottle. Shards of glass cut his hand, and the blood flowed continuously. Unconsciously, Woo-ju silently followed Dong-jin along the way, watching his every step, unbeknownst to him. Then, when she saw Dong-jin suddenly rush into the street, Woo-ju ran in panic and pulled him back just in time. Seeing her scolding him, Dong-jin only mumbled, "I don't want to die, so don't worry," and continued walking. Unable to bear his attitude any longer, Woo-ju shouted, "Then why did you foolishly endure it for a whole year? You should have broken up with her as soon as you knew she was cheating." Dong-jin just stared at Woo-ju with drunken eyes, saying nothing. Seeing his continued silence, Woo-ju felt even more indignant on his behalf. "You should have crashed their wedding. Why destroy yourself like this?" As soon as she finished speaking, she noticed the blood flowing from Dong-jin's hand, a wound he seemed completely unaware of. Woo-ju rushed Dong-jin to pharmacist Yoon-jun's drugstore. After grabbing him some medical supplies and telling him to tend to his wounds himself, she wouldn't let go of the topic of his ex-girlfriend. "If I were you," she reproached, "and I received a wedding invitation from my ex, I would definitely crash the wedding and make sure she wouldn't be able to show her face anywhere." Dong-jin countered, "And what happens after you ruin the wedding? In the end, the pain only multiplies. It's like burying yourself alive." His words reminded Woo-ju of her own pathetic state at her father's funeral. Unrepentant, she pressed on. "You're so easygoing, that's why you got stabbed in the back. You don't even realize that Manager Cha has been stealing your clients behind your back." Dong-jin was startled. "What do you mean?" he asked. Woo-ju seized the opportunity to confirm. "He's taking all your clients, and he also said you won't be able to hold the camping fair in Singapore." Dong-jin was speechless at this sudden revelation. The next day at Yoon-jun's house, while getting some hangover soup, he accidentally turned around to see his older sister, Hae-seong, fresh out of the shower. Her towel slipped. Yoon-jun quickly averted his gaze as a mortified Hae-seong scurried back to her room. After composing herself and getting dressed, she called her younger brother into her room. Pointing to her closet, she explained, "Open your eyes wide and look. These are all my clothes. 360 days out of the year, I coordinate them with matching accessories. I shave my legs whether I have a date or not, and even if I'm running late, I apply lotion. That's the kind of woman I am." A bewildered Yoon-jun was still trying to process this when Hae-seong blurted out, "I'm trying to pick up all the shattered pieces of my self-respect. Forget the ripped underwear you just saw. That's not me." Yoon-jun chuckled awkwardly, waving his hands dismissively. "No need to explain, I didn't even notice. To me, you're like a giraffe." Hae-seong wished she could kick him out of her room after that explanation. Meanwhile, the two founders of Best Fairs were running around negotiating with potential exhibitors. Director Sun-woo was puzzled. How could that part-timer know about this? He couldn't imagine the treacherous manager Cha readily divulging his secrets. This question brought to Dong-jin's mind his various encounters with Woo-ju. She had unknowingly protected him several times. He sincerely voiced his feeling that Woo-ju wasn't a bad person. Director Sun-woo sighed. "I wish she wasn't, but right now we're in a position where we can't trust anyone." After a full day of running around, the reality proved to be exactly as Woo-ju had described. Businesses either refused to cooperate with Best Fairs or claimed they knew nothing about the exhibition. Min-young, asleep, received a call from the chairman. "When can I expect an answer about investing in our exhibition, Miss Min-young?" he asked eagerly. Hesitantly, Min-young replied, "I'm still reviewing it." I'll call you back." She then immediately tried calling director Sun Woo, but he hesitated to answer, as he was having dinner with his younger brother. Dong-jin, seeing Sun Woo's phone, said nothing and continued eating, waiting until they finished their meal. Dong-jin and Sun Woo decided to head home to rest. However, after such a tiring day, Dong-jin didn't feel like going home. He checked into a nearby motel. Rugu, Sun Woo's brother, happened to pass by and saw his sister's boss. He quickly called his sister. When Woo-ju learned that Dong-jin had gone to a motel, she felt a sudden surge of anger. She snapped at her younger brother. "You're so annoying. What does that have to do with me?" Woo-ju's unreasonable anger surprised her older sister, Hae-seong, who was sitting nearby. Meanwhile, Jae-gu complained to his friend, "I never told you about my second older sister, did I? She's crazy. If she finds out I skipped the construction work early, she'll give me an earful and draw all over my head with chalk." The next day, Dong-jin and Sun Woo continued their search for exhibitors. Luckily, they finally met a kind employee who revealed that not long ago, a man had been going around asking brands like theirs to withdraw from their chosen exhibition and join another. The man had offered a tempting deal. If they participated in his exhibition, some of the participation fees would be waived. With such an attractive offer, it was no wonder brands like theirs were flocking to the other exhibition. President Dong-jin immediately pulled out a photo of Manager Cha and asked, "Is this the man you're talking about?" The kind employee quickly confirmed it. Elsewhere, Manager Cha was hosting a farewell party. He announced that he was about to transfer to a new company. When everyone curiously asked him which company he was moving to, Woo-ju spoke up. It's his new boss, Chairman Shin. The room erupted in chatter. Seeing everyone's bewildered expressions, Manager Cha enticed the staff. "I won't go alone. I've told Chairman Shin to hire all of us. Best Fair is about to go bankrupt, so let me take the hit and be the first to jump ship. You can all resign and follow me when the time is right." Woo-ju couldn't stand it anymore and coldly said, "Your vacation time is over, so go back to work." Then, she angrily left. On her way back to the company, Woo-ju recalled Dong-jin's definition of revenge. "For me, revenge is making a lot of money, driving a fancy car, and living in a luxury house. That's true revenge, to let the other person know that after they leave, you're only living better." Therefore, in the present, she decided to call Dong-jin. She wanted to give him a chance to get revenge on Manager Cha, since he was gathering his team to lure them over to Chairman Shin. So, after everyone in the company had left for the day, Director Sun Woo hurriedly opened Manager Cha's laptop to investigate. Upon discovering that Manager Cha's wife and children had already been sent abroad, Sun Woo exclaimed, "Disgusting. He even paved the way for his children." A moment later, the director was surprised to see Hae-seong appear. It turned out she had come to help them clean out Manager Cha's belongings. After that, Sun Woo fumbled around for a while, but couldn't find anything useful on Manager Cha's computer. Just as they were about to give up, Woo-ju suddenly said, "Check the file with his family photo carefully." Sure enough, they quickly found the incriminating evidence hidden within. Meanwhile, President Dong-jin personally went to Manager Cha's house. He told him straight to his face, "You don't need to come to Best Fair tomorrow. We will send your belongings by courier. I came here personally because I didn't want you to lose face in front of your colleagues." As Dong-jin turned to leave, Manager Cha taunted him, "That's why Chairman Shin played you. You have to be obedient in school, but being obedient in business only makes you lose." Dong-jin remained silent, then stepped closer and said in a low voice, "I knew everything all along, but I only used you so that my other colleagues wouldn't go down the wrong path. Does your daughter know where the money came from that's paying for her studies abroad?" With that said, Dong-jin stormed off angrily. Late that evening, after Woo-ju had finished cleaning up Chairman Cha's office, she received a text from Dong-jin. He said he was coming to the office, so she decided to stay and even invited him to grab a late-night meal together. Unexpectedly, his ex-girlfriend, Min Young, also showed up, much to Woo-ju's displeasure, causing her to subtly try to get rid of her. Just then, Dong-jin arrived. Seeing her ex-boyfriend, Min Young quickly grabbed his injured hand and offered to help him deal with Chairman Jin. She also claimed that she had never actually gotten married and had remained single abroad. "I'm here to apologize," she said, but Dong-jin didn't want to hear it. He told her to think long and hard about why she shouldn't appear before him again. He then took Wu Ju's arm to leave. However, Wu Ju, right in front of his ex, intertwined her fingers with his and pulled him away. As soon as they were out of Min Yong's sight, Dong-jin quickly let go of Wu Ju's hand. Flustered, he muttered, "Enough," and hurried off, saying they would eat together another time. Wu Ju was furious. "Why do you keep putting on that miserable face? If you're uncomfortable with me holding your hand, I'll go back and tell her the truth, that we're not like that." Dong-jin's voice rose. "Are we that close? Don't do that again. That kind of action could lead me to misunderstand your intentions." Hearing this, Wu Ju's tone softened. "Okay, fine. Let's go eat then." Meanwhile, a dejected Min Yong went to find director Sun Woo. As he drank to drown his sorrows, she confided, "I don't know why, but now I just hope Dong-jin's new girlfriend is even worse than me." Sun Woo chuckled. "He doesn't have a girlfriend. He was probably just pretending to get rid of you." But Min Yong shook her head, remembering the look in Dong-jin's eyes when he looked at Wu Ju. "I know I'm about to lose him for real." Elsewhere, Wu Ju and Dong-jin arrived at the restaurant. Looking at his expression, Wu Ju suggested, "Why don't you sue your ex? She made you suffer, and she looks pretty rich. Or, if you're still feeling down and sorry for yourself, just go online and check out some forums. There are stories 3 times more tragic than yours." Dong-jin was amused. She clearly cared but only spoke harsh words. They sat for a while, then Dong-jin suddenly said, "I really didn't feel like eating anything today, but I'm glad you're here." Throughout the meal, he smiled more frequently during their conversation. After dinner, on their way home, Wu Ju's gaze landed on the window of a coffee shop. She spotted her younger brother, Jae-gu, working as a barista. She decided to wait outside for him to take out the trash. Jae-gu quickly rushed towards Dong-jin, who was standing nearby. Seeing he couldn't hide anymore, Jae-gu confessed, "I really don't want to take the civil service exam. I just want to make music and sing." Wu Ju, tired of his excuses, was about to give him a piece of her mind. In a desperate attempt to escape, Jae-gu shoved his sister into Dong-jin's arms and ran away. The next day, Chairman Shin swaggered into Best Fare. He waited for a long time before Dong-jin finally appeared. Upon seeing him, Chairman Shin adopted an arrogant tone. "So you fired Chairman Cha's department head? Are you afraid of me?" He then showed Dong-jin a flyer for his company's outdoor camping exhibition. The image triggered memories of Dong-jin and Sun Woo from years ago. Back then, when Chairman Shin had looked at Dong-jin's project proposal, he had scoffed and dismissed it as having no future. He had even tried to keep Dong-jin at his company with promises of a higher salary and better benefits. However, Dong-jin was determined to leave and start his own company to pursue his own plans. At the time, the chairman was furious and vowed to ruin Dong-jin. Now, it seems Chairman Shin's years of pent-up anger were finally being released. He looked at Dong-jin and said, "Stop acting tough and beg for my forgiveness." However, Dong-jin's expression remained calm. He fully understood Chairman Shin's feelings and why he was acting this way. He calmly replied, "There's something I need to clear up with you. I know you resent me not just because I left your company, and not just because your employees chose to follow me, but because of that time you were drunk and begged me on your knees at a bar to come back. While we were arguing, you missed your wife's call for help, and she passed away. I understand why you've become so bitter, but I need to say this, your wife's death has nothing to do with me." Dong-jin's words were like a knife twisting in Chairman Shin's wound. He refused to face the fact that he had missed the crucial window to save his wife. Instead, he blamed Dong-jin and erupted in his office. "If it wasn't your fault, then whose fault was it? I could have gotten my wife to the hospital in time, and she wouldn't have died." In his rage, Chairman Shin made a phone call. "From now on, I want all media outlets to mobilize and organize a camping expo on such a scale that it crushes Best Fares. I want to see them utterly destroyed." Witnessing this scene, all the employees of Best Fares believed their company was truly on the brink of bankruptcy. Fear gripped the entire office. That night, Dong-jin went to his usual bar, seeking solace in alcohol. Wu Ju, who was desperately searching for her brother, happened to stop by the same bar and saw him. She quietly sat down beside him, and they remained silent. Suddenly, Dong-jin broke the silence. He recounted a story from high school. In high school, I participated in a track meet and finished last. The second to last person was 3 seconds faster than me. Since birth, I think I've always been weak. Wu Ju, instead of her usual teasing, offered encouragement. So you're weak, but you never back down from a challenge. I believe in you. No matter how bad the situation gets, you can overcome it. After parting ways with Dong-jin, Wu Ju wandered alone, replaying recent moments with him in her mind. Her heart raced uncontrollably. She quickly composed herself, reminding herself not to lose sight of her revenge. In the following days, employees started handing in their resignations one after another. Dong-jin and Sun Woo tried to persuade them to stay, but to no avail. In the end, only 5 people remained at the company, including Wu Ju. Seeing the company in dire straits, Sun Woo hesitantly made a suggestion. The investment firm where Ming-yong works wants to help us. You should consider it. Dong-jin instinctively recoiled at the idea of accepting help from Min-yong. He went up to the rooftop in silence and contemplated for a long time. Finally, he called an old acquaintance. This person generously offered him a large loan, repaying a favor from when Dong-jin had helped him during a difficult time for his own company. At the same time, Dong-jin's mother went to see his ex-girlfriend. She got straight to the point. Could you lend me 10 million won? I only need it for about 2 months. I'll pay you back as soon as I sell the house. Min-yong hesitated to answer, instead asking, is this like before? I'm not allowed to tell Dong-jin, am I? Early the next morning, Wu Ju was rushing to work when she received an unexpected call from her aunt. Her aunt delivered shocking news. Ma Hui-ya, that woman, had moved into their childhood home. It turned out she never sold the house. They had been tricked. Wu Ju was speechless. Determined to see for herself, she immediately turned around and ran back to the old house to get to the bottom of things. Upon arrival, she saw Ma Hui-ya's new boyfriend leaving the house. Holding back her anger, she rang the doorbell, and sure enough, the voice that answered was the old woman, Ma Hui-ya. Hearing this, Wu Ju started yelling like a madwoman. You, open this door right now. Hiya panicked, unsure of what to do. Meanwhile, Dong-jin received a call from the real estate agent. You should come to your mother's house quickly. The daughter you're looking for is there. So, Dong-jin immediately set off. It turned out that after his second encounter with Wu Ju at the supermarket, where she revealed that the house she'd lived in for 20 years had been taken, Dong-jin became suspicious. He visited the house his mother had recently acquired to investigate. Despite his repeated questioning, his mother insisted, "It's my house," but Dong-jin remained unconvinced. She became angry. "Yes, I kicked those kids out of the house. But you didn't care back then, why do you care now?" Dong-jin felt helpless. "That's why I'm being punished now," he said, then went to the real estate agent and instructed her. "If the owner of the house shows up, let me know immediately." However, back in the present, when he rushed to the house, he was too late. Broken eggshells littered the doorstep, but no one was there. It turned out Wu Ju had been taken to the police station. Hiya had reported her for disturbing the peace. A while later, her aunt bailed her out. On the way home, her aunt told her, "Hiya's son came to the real estate agency a few times and really wanted to contact you girls. He wants to apologize and convince his mother to return the house." Wu Ju couldn't believe someone so kind could be related to Hiya. Her eyes reddened, and she lashed out in frustration. "Why are you just telling me this now?" Clutching the remaining eggs, she walked down the street in a daze, tears streaming down her face as she remembered the times she had hurt Dong-jin. As for Dong-jin, after a long day of searching for the house's owner without success, he returned to his company and asked his colleague about Wu Ju. But his colleague informed him, "Wu Ju's phone is unreachable, and I don't know where she went." Meanwhile, Chairman Shin was struggling to secure enough funds for the upcoming exhibition. Their low pricing strategy had created a cash flow problem. Late that night, Wu Ju unexpectedly appeared at Dong-jin's apartment building. However, she wasn't there to see him, but his ex-girlfriend. Seeing Min-yong, Wu Ju launched into a tirade. "You shouldn't be living here after hurting him so badly. He's sleeping in a motel because of you. You're despicable. Move out immediately, or you'll see my face every day." Min-yong didn't respond directly, but asked, "What's your name, since I'll be seeing your face regularly?" Then, she invited Wu Ju to have a drink with her. At that moment, Dong-jin arrived home. His younger brother, Jae-gu, who was staying with him, had prepared a lavish meal. It turned out that after arguing with Woo-ju, Jae-gu didn't dare go home and wandered around, coincidentally running into his sister's boss. Jae-gu, initially planning to spend the night at a sauna, accepted Dong-jin's offer to stay at his place for a while. Back in the present, after finishing their meal, the two brothers had a chance to connect. Jae-gu opened up about his childhood dream. He recounted how hearing his father sing and witnessing the applause, even from just 5 or 6 people, ignited a desire within him to become a singer rather than a typical office worker. Dong-jin also shared his reason for liking his current job. It was the first job he ever did alongside an adult he greatly admired. Later, as Jae-gu sang, Dong-jin was unconsciously reminded of memories of setting up tents with his own father. Meanwhile, at the bar, Min-young frankly told Woo-ju, "I'll move out if Dong-jin wants me to, not because of you or anyone else." Woo-ju paused thoughtfully, then agreed, "Then keep your word." She then threw a dart at the dartboard, a subtle threat. Min-young, meanwhile, was getting herself drunk. Woo-ju wasn't far behind. The two, rivals in love, became drinking buddies under the influence of alcohol. They drank until Woo-ju had to help a stumbling Min-young home. The next morning, Woo-ju woke up to a table full of empty bottles. Remembering the previous night, she exclaimed, "We both completely lost it." Before leaving Min-young's apartment, she spotted Dong-jin collecting beer cans outside. Wanting to avoid him, she waited for him to leave. However, moments later, they ran into each other in the elevator, a situation that made them both extremely awkward. After learning that Woo-ju had slept over at Min-young's, Dong-jin, without further questioning, seriously told her, "Wait here for me. I'll get my phone and we'll leave together." Woo-ju quickly interjected, "How about we eat before you interrogate me? My stomach is staging a serious protest." Resigned, Dong-jin took Woo-ju to eat and then to a cafe near their office. There, Woo-ju confessed, "I accidentally found out that since Min-young lives across the street, you often have to crash at a sauna. So, I warned Min-young, telling her to move out or else, shameless as I am, I'd follow you around every day." Hearing her answer, Dong-jin suddenly burst out laughing. Hee-ya's lover was frantically searching her house, as if looking for buried treasure. When Hee-ya questioned him about the mess, he quickly made an excuse, "I'm just looking for the gold watch you gave me." A while later, he inquired about the handwritten will left by Hee-ya's ex-husband. "Where did you hide the will he gave you?" "I'm worried because his daughter came looking for it today." Hee-ya reassured him, "I've hidden it where no one can find it, so don't worry." Her lover gave a fake, strained smile in response. As for Dong-jin, upon returning home, he ran into Min-young in the elevator. He spoke frankly to his ex-girlfriend, "You don't have to move out. It's your home. What I meant was that I no longer care what you do or where you live." In another scene, Woo-ju confided in her close friend, Yoon-jun, declaring, "I'm completely done with my revenge on the pharmacist." He wasn't surprised, replying, "I'll let your mother back home know." Woo-ju was taken aback. It was unbelievable that Yoon-jun could have feelings for the son of the woman she bitterly hated. Indignantly, Woo-ju retorted, "I never said I was head over heels for him. Why do you need to inform my mother? I just don't want to see him lonely. I want to see him smile more. What kind of feeling is this that warrants you going to such lengths?" Even as she explained and tried to deny it, Woo-ju couldn't convince herself that she wasn't falling for Dong-jin. Defeated, she sank into a chair as if suddenly understanding everything. Later, she stood beneath Dong-jin's building, gazing up at his apartment for a long time. Meanwhile, upstairs, Dong-jin received a text from Jae-gu. "My sister is drunk and outside your apartment. Could you look after her for me? I have to go to work." Dong-jin rushed downstairs, forgetting to even put on his shoes. He then walked with Woo-ju to help her sober up. Later, as they sat outside a convenience store, Woo-ju confessed, "I trained in archery for many years and even won medals in national competitions. I was considered a promising archer until I was forced to quit because of injuries from a car accident. Well, it wasn't exactly an accident. I intentionally crashed my car after finding out my father was having an affair. It was my way of letting him know I knew his secret, hoping he'd change his ways. But as time passed, I realized I just wanted to hurt him. I wanted him to live with guilt for the rest of his life. I admit I'm extreme and hot-tempered, so please don't like me." The next morning, Dong-jin met with a business associate who revealed that Chairman Shin was facing mounting difficulties organizing the upcoming exhibition, lacking even the funds to rent the venue. Several investors, sensing trouble, had withdrawn their funding, worsening his financial situation. This news didn't bring Dong-jin any joy. Despite not wanting Chairman Shin to succeed, he didn't want to see him struggle like this. Meanwhile, Min-young spent her days moping at home. After her encounter with Dong-jin in the elevator, she'd been doing a lot of thinking. Finally, she decided to tell him the truth. She went to his apartment and rang the doorbell. As the door cracked open, she spoke quickly, not wanting to face him directly. She just wanted to say her piece and leave. It turned out that years ago, when they were still together, after repeatedly hinting that she wanted to meet his mother, Min-young had taken matters into her own hands and arranged a meeting with Ma Hui-ya. During that meeting, she realized that Dong-jin's mother wasn't a kind person, but she was still his mother. Min-young figured that regardless of his mother's character, as long as Dong-jin treated her well, she wouldn't mind his family. However, Dong-jin's cold reaction upon learning about the meeting signaled a deeply negative outlook on their future. He never mentioned marriage again. Back in the present, Min-young said resentfully, "Back then, you just left me, as if to say my life was my own decision to make. So now you should feel ashamed too." After pouring her heart out to the door, it gently closed. Inside, Dong-jin and Jae-gu stood dumbfounded, unsure what to do. The next day, Jae-gu told Dong-jin, "Boss, yesterday the girl who lives across the hall came looking for you." Dong-jin didn't ask any further questions. Later, the guy arrived at the company and received a call from the real estate agent. On the other end of the line, the woman said, "The former landlord's daughter came to see me. She wanted to let you know that her family has decided to give up the house. So, she asked me to tell you that her family has moved to a very good place and that you shouldn't worry anymore." Hearing this, Dong-jin didn't say anything more. Meanwhile, Woo-ju quietly continued her daily work at the office. But her attitude was completely indifferent. She even refused to participate in gatherings with her colleagues. She also said that she was only a contract worker, so she didn't need to socialize with them. The Whirlwind director, Sun Woo, used alcohol as an excuse to probe Dong-jin. "Why don't you date Woo-ju? I've observed that you two have been spending a lot of time alone together lately. It's clear you like her, so just follow your heart." But Dong-jin replied, "Actually, even though I know I'm smitten, I'm not going to pursue it, because I don't want to be hurt by love again." That night, on his way home, the guy happened to run into Min-young downstairs in his building. Min-young suddenly hugged him tightly. This scene was accidentally witnessed by Chairman Shin. He blurted out, "These two are clearly colluding to harm me." Chairman Shin, in his anger, was about to confront them both when Woo-ju suddenly stepped in front of him, blocking his path. The reason for Woo-ju's presence there was that she had previously found Jae-gu working part-time at a karaoke bar. She even paid for an hour to have a serious talk with her younger brother. She wanted him to move back home and then seriously look for a place to study for the civil service exam. But he flatly refused. Jae-gu tried to persuade her, "I'm going to pursue a singing career, and you can rest assured that even if I do, I won't live like Dad." Woo-ju was furious at his words. "I'm not objecting for that pathetic reason, but because you should at least find a decent job so that when you get married later, Hai-seong can hold her head high, and you'll have a steady income to buy a house and live a stable life. I'm trying to make sure you won't be ashamed in front of anyone in the future." Jae-gu couldn't even manage a smile because he couldn't understand why his older sister was always shouldering the burden for everyone in the family. Having no other choice, he led his sister to his temporary lodging to pack his belongings. But as they walked, Woo-ju suddenly felt something was off because the route seemed familiar. After persistent questioning, her brother finally confessed. "The senior who let me stay here is your boss, Dong-jin." Woo-ju felt she couldn't control her volume anymore and yelled. But Jae-gu explained, "At first, I didn't intend to stay there, but gradually I felt that Dong-jin was lonely and didn't want to live alone. The house is big, but there's nothing inside, just like him." Defeated, Woo-ju told him, "You go home first. I'll go see the boss and talk to him later." With that said, Woo-ju went straight to Dong-jin's apartment complex, but happened to see his ex-girlfriend, Min-young, actively hugging him. Flustered, Woo-ju immediately turned and left. But after walking a short distance, she suddenly saw Chairman Shin. He was aggressively approaching the two of them as if he was about to start a fight. So, Woo-ju rushed forward to shield them from him. Meanwhile, Dong-jin and Min-young went upstairs together. He noticed that his ex-girlfriend had a fever and asked solicitously, "Do you have any fever reducers at home? If not, I'll bring you some." Later, when he brought the medicine over, Min-young tried to take the opportunity to invite her ex-boyfriend in for some tea. However, Dong-jin refused directly and said, "Today, even if it wasn't you, I would have done the same. I no longer have feelings for you. If anything comes up next time, we can go for tea or drinks. But for now, you should rest." With that, he hurried inside, leaving Min-young to bitterly recall their intimate moments from before. Now, she knew that those days were truly a thing of the past. Dong-jin returned home to a farewell text from his younger brother, Jae-gu. "Thanks for letting me crash at your place for so long. I promise I'll work hard and buy you a nice tent. You can send my stuff to my oldest sister." After reading the message, Dong-jin called Woo-ju downstairs. She saw his number but didn't answer. Persistent, Dong-jin left a message asking her to pick up. He wanted to apologize for hiding Jae-gu's situation from her, but he only received a text message declining the call. In the following days, Woo-ju, her two sisters, and their pharmacist friend, Yoon-jun, were back under one roof. However, when Yoon-jun learned that Jae-gu had been staying at Dong-jin's, he became furious, leaving Hae-seong and Jae-gu confused. The pharmacist stormed off without much explanation. A while later, Hae-seong, dressed in a vibrant yellow outfit, left the house. She had a date to pretend to be Yoon-jun's girlfriend and meet his parents, hoping to stop their constant pressure about marriage. She looked at Yoon-jun and asked, "What kind of girlfriend do I need to be today?" Yoon-jun started to instruct her, "Just be yourself. Talk non-stop throughout the meal like you always do, and remember to drink water while eating, really impolitely. Also, emphasize that you were born in the year of the horse." Hae-seong forced a smile, pretending to understand his tactics, but feeling uneasy. Meanwhile, Chairman Shin, after his encounter with Woo-ju the previous night, went to see Manager Cha with a serious theory. "I suspect Dong-jin orchestrated this whole charade with those two girls to scam our company." Manager Cha disagreed. Min-young did approach him to spy, but I think Dong-jin and Woo-ju were in cahoots from the start. He recalled, "I observed them before. They acted like they hated each other. They wouldn't even make eye contact. They must have thrown me off." Chairman Shin concluded, "Then she's definitely not on our side. But call her anyway." Though confused, Manager Cha reluctantly obeyed. As a result, Woo-ju received constant calls from him that day, but knowing they were at Chairman Shin's behest, she never answered. Later, during a company training session, Woo-ju's gaze was fixed on Dong-jin, almost in a daze, which didn't escape Director Sun Woo's notice. He flashed a knowing smile and mouthed, "Go for it." Woo-ju remained silent, sitting through the rest of the meeting. At the same time, the pharmacist was taking Hae-seong to meet his parents. She followed the plan, eating and drinking freely in front of them. Yoon-jun's mother shot her disapproving glances. A heavy atmosphere settled over the meal. Abruptly, Yoon-jun's parents stood up to leave. Before going, his mother delivered a pointed remark, "Yellow isn't a good choice." After everyone had left, Hae-seong breathed a sigh of relief. Yoon-jun then offered to take her out to eat since she hadn't been able to enjoy the meal. At the restaurant, he confessed, "In a family full of tension, I'm just the nosy, talkative kid. I was so embarrassed for you to see my family like that." Hae-seong replied jokingly, "When it comes to family embarrassment, you can't beat mine." They both laughed, deciding to put the incident behind them. The next day, Director Kim stormed into Chairman Shin's company to demand his money back, having learned that Shin's actions were solely intended to crush Dong-jin's company. Chairman Shin angrily yelled, "Do you know the reason I've been running around is because I tried to meet your company's asking price? With the price you're benefiting from, you should know your place and keep your mouth shut." Director Kim didn't want to argue further, coldly warning, "You better return the money to my company." He then left, leaving Chairman Shin standing there helplessly. Rage surging within him, Chairman Shin took a taxi to find Min-young. As he got out, he clutched a rock in his hand, his face contorted with hatred. Waiting until she came down to take out the trash, he approached her with the intention of confronting her. Seeing the rock in Chairman Shin's hand, Min Yong instinctively backed away. Just as he was about to get closer, Wu Ju luckily appeared just in time. She calmly but firmly told Chairman Shin, "If you use that rock to hurt someone today, your life will truly be ruined." Didn't Dong-jin remain silent and not press charges after you stole all his employees, giving you a chance to turn things around, to end your revenge and live your own life? However, Chairman Shin wouldn't listen. He resolutely threw the rock at Min Yong. Dong-jin then received a call from Director Sun Woo informing him that Chairman Shin had gone to see Min Yong and caused trouble, but the injured person being taken to the hospital was Wu Ju. Hearing this, Dong-jin rushed to the hospital. Seeing Chairman Shin, Dong-jin, rarely losing his composure, angrily said, "How many more times do I have to let you off the hook? I don't want to take revenge on you the way you did to me. But why did you throw a rock at someone else?" He then rushed to Wu Ju's bedside. Director Sun Woo turned to Chairman Shin and said, "You truly are a pathetic has-been. I told Wu Ju to sue you for assault, but she chose to forgive you. She said you didn't even run away, and you were shaking more than she was, even though she was the one injured. She said to consider this act as wiping out the animosity between you and Dong-jin. So leave now, and let's never see each other again." Chairman Shin stood dazed for a moment, then covered his face in anguish, saying, "I'm so sorry. For years, I've lived like a madman, obsessed. Now that I'm clear-headed and want to stop, I don't know what to do next." He continued to sob like a child. Meanwhile, Dong-jin sat by Wu Ju's bedside, stroking her face. She quickly regained consciousness and gently took his hand, causing Dong-jin to smile and ask if she felt any pain. Wu Ju replied, "I used to be an athlete, so I'm pretty tough. This impact is nothing serious. I deliberately took the hit so Chairman Shin would stop his wicked ways in the future." Dong-jin was happy that she wasn't speaking to him with her usual sarcasm and coldness. He jokingly said, "Did that rock hit you in the head or something?" This playful remark brought them closer. The next morning, Director Kim rushed to Company B, eager to reinstate their investment partnership. He seemed very anxious. However, Dong-jin remained calm. He told Director Sun Woo, "Just ignore him." He then decided to have lunch with Wu Ju. During their meal, Dong-jin confessed, "When I was facing difficulties, Director Kim made me wait for 5 hours, then refused my partnership offer. That's why I'm doing this today. Am I being too petty?" Wu Ju looked at the time and slyly encouraged him, "You have another 2.5 hours to go somewhere to make it a full 5 hours. She said, "Finish your meal, and then we'll go get some coffee and take a walk." Dong-jin happily agreed. He felt comfortable around Wu Ju, even though they hadn't spoken much. Later, back at work, after discussing terms with Director Kim, Dong-jin unexpectedly refused his offer of collaboration, leaving the man furious and storming off. This also gave Director Sun Woo a different perspective on his younger colleague, wondering what had caused such a change in him. Dong-jin simply smiled without explanation. Riding his wave of confidence, the next day Dong-jin mustered the courage to invite Wu Ju on a camping trip for a night and 2 days. Wu Ju was a bit surprised but agreed. They set off soon after. On the way, Dong-jin confided in Wu Ju about a story from 3 years prior. "After I broke up with Min Yong at that campground, I haven't been back there since. That was also the day I hated myself the most." When Wu Ju hesitantly asked, "So why did you invite me to come here today?" Dong-jin smiled and replied, "Because I wanted to come here with you today." His words brought them closer. They soon arrived at a bustling campground. It turned out to be owned by Dong-jin's father. Seeing his son with a girl, he happily put 2 and 2 together. As night fell, Dong-jin and Wu Ju built a fire and talked. Whenever camping was mentioned, Dong-jin would enthusiastically tell Wu Ju many interesting stories. He even suggested, "Next time, let's go camping in a different forest." Wu Ju opened up and said, "I wasn't sure I liked camping before, but after today, I don't think it's so bad." They exchanged smiles. Meanwhile, Director Sun Woo stood beneath Min Yong's building. He had personally brought her porridge, knowing she was sick and had recently experienced a significant shock. After delivering the porridge, he shyly bid her farewell and quietly left. The next morning, Wu Ju's mother traveled all the way to Seoul but couldn't reach any of her 3 children. While trying to open the door, she realized the lock had been changed. Still confused, she saw a man get out of a car. he asked, "What are you doing in front of my house?" As they argued over whose house it was, her son Jae-gu appeared. He finally had to tell his mother, "This house isn't ours anymore." After learning the truth, the mother and her 3 children returned to Yoon-jun's house and wept together. She felt heartbroken that her children were being bullied but hadn't told her about their hardships. Unable to bear it, Woo-ju got up and left. Later, she received a text from Dong-jin. He expressed his gratitude, saying that her presence had helped him escape the island of loneliness he had confined himself to for so long. Upon reading the message, Woo-ju burst into tears. The following morning, a somber atmosphere hung over the Woo-ju household. Suddenly, their mother brought out a bowl of seaweed soup, and everyone realized it was Woo-ju's birthday. This was why their mother had come all the way from their hometown to Seoul, but no one was in a celebratory mood, especially Woo-ju. She went to work but, thinking of her mother's sadness, turned back and returned home. Meanwhile, Dong-jin received a text from Woo-ju saying she wouldn't be coming in, which saddened him. Director Sun Woo noticed his melancholy and hinted, "It's Woo-ju's birthday today." Dong-jin replied that he had known that for a while. But today, Woo-ju had family matters to attend to and couldn't come to work. The director, Sun Woo, flashed a sly smile and said, "Knowing beforehand means you've liked her for a long time, haven't you?" Seeing his junior's silent acknowledgement, Sun Woo suggested Dong-jin arrange a dinner for the 3 of them. As his senior, he wanted to thank Woo-ju for allowing him to experience such a range of emotions. Dong-jin didn't object but smiled. He said he would message her. Meanwhile, Woo-ju was sitting across from her mother. Her mother looked at her seriously and asked, "I wonder what stopped you from crying?" While both Hae-seong and Jae-gu couldn't hold back their emotions. "Are you hiding something?" So, she told her mother everything. "A few months ago, on the day of Dad's funeral, I dressed provocatively, barged in, and wanted to make a scene. I thought that would release all the resentment I'd held for being abandoned by him for 13 years. Just like when I ran in front of his car hoping he'd feel remorse. But what happened? Ever since that day, I've felt remorseful for going there and acting so crazy." Woo-ju recounted, crying with frustration in front of her mother. At the same time, at Best Fair's office, the HR department discovered that Department Head Cha had applied for a senior management position within the company. This surprised the HR employee. She wasn't sure whether to delete his application. Director Sun Woo, passing by, learned of the situation and calmly stated, "You don't need to delete it. Reply to him that his application will never be considered at Best Fairs. Scoundrels like him deserve to be nipped in the bud." With that, the angry director walked away. After Woo-ju poured out her heart and cried, she and her mother sat together on the sofa. Woo-ju then updated her mother on her older sister and younger brother's recent situations. Afterward, she personally took her mother to the karaoke bar where her brother worked. Jae-gu was startled to see his mother and pulled his sister aside to talk. "Dong-jin just brought a birthday cake here, saying he wants to celebrate your birthday with you. He's waiting in the next room. Take Mom home." However, while the siblings were talking, their mother happened to run into Dong-jin. When the siblings returned, they found their mother not angry, but chatting amicably with Dong-jin. They even seemed to get along very well. Their mother also astutely realized the budding, albeit hidden, relationship between Dong-jin and Woo-ju. She cleverly complimented, "You two look great together." And to give them an opportunity, she thoughtfully left with Jae-gu, leaving space for the young couple. Dong-jin and Woo-ju didn't disappoint her mother. They went to a small bar together. Woo-ju curiously asked, "What did you talk about with my mom earlier?" Dong-jin replied casually, "I talked to your mom about a lot of things. She didn't ask about my job, family, or personal matters like other parents. She just asked why I liked you. And she said that although you're the coldest of her 3 children, you're also the most sentimental. She said when you like someone, you show them your adorable side. I told her the reason I like you is because you're not overly sweet. It's your honesty and sincerity that made me comfortable and then gradually fall for you." Woo-ju didn't seem uncomfortable with this indirect confession. Even on the way home, when a bicycle sped towards them from the opposite direction, Dong-jin instinctively pulled her close. She let him hold her hand like that. That night, Director Sun Woo was working late at the office when he happened to see Department Head Cha sneaking around. He was lamenting miserably. After Chairman Shin's dirty tricks were exposed, news of my betrayal spread throughout the industry. so no one dares to hire me anymore." He then knelt down and begged best fares to take him back. If Dong-jin can forgive Woo-ju, why can't he forgive him too? Director Sun Woo was taken aback. He didn't understand what the guy meant by that, so he inquired further. After a while, he learned that Woo-ju had previously met with this guy to reveal some things to him. The director was stunned, unsure who to believe. So, the next morning, he personally texted Woo-ju, asking to speak with her privately. He wanted to know if what Chief Cha had said was true. If Woo-ju just said no, he would trust her completely. But Woo-ju didn't deny it. She admitted everything. This made Sun Woo even more confused. He reproached her, saying, "Why is your stance so inconsistent? It makes it hard for me to decide whether or not to tell Dong-jin about this." The director paused for a moment, then bluntly requested, "You need to find a way to tell Dong-jin the truth yourself." Woo-ju went to Dong-jin's place. After finishing dinner, the two started chatting. Dong-jin openly confided in her about the man he called his father at the campground. "He was the man who remarried my mother, and the only man I've ever called dad. They were married for 3 years, then my mother remarried again, and I had to go through those unstable days once more. During those years, I never had a real home. My biological mother used to be a flaw I wanted to hide, to keep secret from everyone. Only then could I live decently. But when I live decently, I always get betrayed." Dong-jin poured his heart out to her and said he wanted to date Woo-ju seriously. After saying that, he turned to look at her intently and asked, "Do you want to stay here with me tonight?" Woo-ju was momentarily stunned, then nodded in agreement. And to gather more courage, she even asked Dong-jin to go buy some more beer. As soon as he left, Woo-ju immediately called her older sister, her voice full of concern, saying, "I know it's wrong, but I'm not coming home tonight." Hae-seong didn't realize her younger sister's statement had a double meaning. She just thought it wasn't a big deal and said casually, "You're a grown woman. Just stay there. I'll figure out how to deal with mom for you." A little later, Woo-ju and Dong-jin started drinking beer and talking. As the night grew later and their feelings deepened, they began to look into each other's eyes and share passionate kisses. They were entwined from outside to on the bed throughout the night, until the early hours of the next morning. The mother found out that her second daughter hadn't come home the night before, but she wasn't surprised at all. "I saw that guy at Jae-gu's workplace. If Woo-ju has a boyfriend, it's normal for her not to come home. I'm not some old-fashioned hag." After talking about Woo-ju, the mother started instructing Hae-seong, "As for you, you should move out of Yoon-jun's house soon. After all, you're both single men and women. Living under the same roof doesn't seem right." Meanwhile, Dong-jin, having just woken up, saw a message from his girlfriend. "I had something to do, so I went home early. I cooked breakfast for you." He looked at the hot meal on the table and couldn't help but smile happily. He took a picture of the dishes with his phone and cheerfully enjoyed them. Woo-ju had arrived at the company very early. Before starting work, she arranged to meet with Sun Woo. "I hope you, director, will temporarily refrain from telling Dong-jin that I betrayed him. If you have to tell him, at least let me tell him myself. I don't want him to find out from someone else. I also have a lot to explain to him, like why I'm here, who I am, and why I did it." Director Sun Woo sighed in agreement and suggested, "All right, then I'll give you until the end of the exhibition." Meanwhile, Miss Huey's lover has recently been constantly chased by creditors due to gambling losses. He decided to steal all of his lover's jewelry and gold and silver to flee across the border. After that, the man decisively broke up with Huey-ya and confessed, "I only came to you for the money. Now, I'm running away. You better get the hell out of here too. Go find another man who can take care of you, because that's always been your profession." Huey-ya, enraged, threatened to report him to the police for theft. But he wasn't scared. Instead, he threatened her back, "Go ahead and report me. I know you hid your husband's will and kicked the kids out of here. If you dare report me to the police, let's see who suffers more." Knowing she had lost all her assets, Ma Huey-ya had no choice but to pack her suitcase and go find her son. But when she arrived, she unexpectedly ran into Min-young. She cheerfully started a conversation, trying to squeeze money out of her. So, inside the elevator, the woman constantly badmouthed Min-young, threatening her to be smart and answer her calls when she called. But Min-young had been unable to tolerate this woman for a long time. So then, she stood in front of her house and said loudly, "You're right, I did hurt Dong-jin, and I even wanted to break up with him. But the reason I did those things was all because of you. Do you even know that? It turned out that when Min Young was dating Dong-jin, Huiya had often used her position as the future mother-in-law to demand money from Min Young, which drove her crazy and forced her to become such a bad person. And all these words just happened to be overheard by Dong-jin, who was at home across the way. He immediately opened the door and dragged his mother inside. He even asked her how much money she had taken from Min Young. Huiya continued to play the victim, claiming that Min Young hurt her son, so she didn't need to return the money at all. In fact, she should even demand more money for emotional distress. Dong-jin was tired and didn't want to talk anymore. Knowing his mother wanted to stay at his place, Dong-jin didn't respond and just wanted to leave immediately. Meanwhile, her younger brother, Jae-gu, was taking their mother to see their aunt to ask about the lost house. The mother also inquired about the whole story of that woman, Ma Huiya. But the aunt said, "If you want to know, just ask Woo-ju. She knows more than I do." Once, she even broke into that house, and that woman reported her to the police. She also knows Huiya's son well, because that boy was looking for her. Seeing the situation getting out of hand, her younger brother, Jae-gu, secretly sent an urgent text to his sister. Woo-ju received the message and had to put aside her unfinished work to go to her mother and brother. She had to explain to her mother, "That woman's son is a good person. His purpose in looking for me was to apologize and to find a way to return the house to us, and I have truly forgiven him." After explaining everything clearly, Woo-ju's family started deciding to gather at a karaoke place. Coincidentally, Dong-jin was passing by and was invited to join by Woo-ju and her older sister, Hae-seong. A while later, while Jae-gu was singing, Woo-ju quietly looked at Dong-jin, feeling conflicted because both her mother and Dong-jin still didn't know each other's true identities. Contrary to Woo-ju's worries, her family really liked Dong-jin. Her older sister, Hae-seong, innocently said, "Our family isn't the type to express our emotions much. Your boyfriend is the same way, and you're like the missing piece of this family." This joking remark made Dong-jin very happy. Later, after the meal, Woo-ju's mother enthusiastically invited, "Come over to our place sometime." Dong-jin happily agreed and politely asked to leave. But after going halfway, he realized he forgot to give something to Woo-ju, so he called her. Woo-ju answered the call and told Dong-jin not to come back. She would quickly come to him. Yoon-jun, standing nearby, heard this and was quite disgruntled. He was still grumbling under his breath when he turned around to see his older sister, Hae-seong, looking at him suspiciously. "I sense you have a very negative attitude towards that Dong-jin fellow. Has he been married before, or does he have kids, or is he drowning in debt?" Yoon-jun was in a difficult position, saying he couldn't reveal anything. "Just wait for Woo-ju to tell you herself, because I don't even know where to begin." So, when Woo-ju said goodbye to Dong-jin, she immediately received a call from her best friend, telling her to come over urgently. Meanwhile, Hae-seong was secretly piecing together details from the past. Seemingly realizing something, Hae-seong, without a word, slapped her younger sister hard and scolded. "Are you a mistress, in love with a married man? Haven't you seen what mom had to go through? And now you're destroying someone else's family happiness like that?" Realizing that her sister had misunderstood, Woo-ju didn't explain anything but just stood there silently shedding tears. Yoon-jun couldn't stand it anymore and decisively revealed the truth. "It's not like that. Dong-jin is actually the son of that woman. The one your dad was having an affair with. Your sister originally went to work at his company to get revenge, but she unexpectedly fell in love with him." Hae-seong was stunned to hear the whole truth. But what hurt her even more was that Yoon-jun knew everything, while she, as the older sister, knew nothing. Woo-ju sobbed uncontrollably, saying, "I'm sorry." But Hae-seong still couldn't accept this and angrily left. Yoon-jun hurriedly ran after his sister to explain, "I'm sorry for hiding it from you, but if I had to choose again, I would still hide this for Woo-ju, because I feel like she's so pitiful. From the moment she jumped in front of your dad's car, she rarely found true love, and now it's accidentally with her nemesis. I believe she'll try to end this soon. Now that you know, I think she'll do it even sooner. So, please calm down and understand Woo-ju's feelings." The next day, Huiya was having breakfast and casually inquiring about Dong-jin's new girlfriend. "What does that girl do for a living? She was asking about Dong-jin's girlfriend because she accidentally discovered some food containers in her fridge that her son could never have prepared himself. She started to smile, repeating to Dong-jin, "What does that girl do?" But her son just evaded the question. "I'm going away on a business trip tomorrow and won't be home." With that, he grabbed his bag and left. Dong-jin made a special stop at Min Young's house to talk. He wanted to apologize to her because in the past he was so focused on his career that he didn't pay attention to her feelings when facing his mother. Even though it was late, he still wanted to apologize. Min Young smiled and also apologized for her mother. "Actually, the wedding invitation back then was secretly sent to you by my mother. She wanted me to completely break up with you, so she did that. I didn't know about it back then and I really regretted it." After that, they both felt relieved because they had officially said goodbye to the past. They wished each other happiness in the future. Meanwhile, at work, Woo Ju had arrived early. She was working while thinking about her meeting with her sister this morning. Woo Ju asked Hai Seong for 2 days to quit her job and end everything. But her sister didn't agree. "You have to quit your job today, and if not, then do whatever you want, and I'll do it my way." So, back in the present, Woo Ju decided to talk frankly about her resignation with her superiors. Department head Choi and her colleague in the HR department also felt very sorry because she was a diligent and motivated person. If she agreed to stay, she would be promoted sooner or later. Jae-gu was ordered by his mother to bring the food containers along with some fresh kimchi to his future brother-in-law, Dong-jin, because she really liked the guy. Jae-gu tried to please his mother and carried everything to Dong-jin's house. As soon as he got to the elevator, he accidentally met Dong-jin's mother. Jae-gu recognized her immediately from the photos of her family he'd seen before. So, the young man politely greeted her and introduced himself. Huey-ya was in a rush, so she didn't pay much attention and just told Jae-gu to make himself at home. After saying that, she quickly hopped into a taxi, seemingly going somewhere in a hurry. It turned out that Huey-ya was rushing home to sell her house. She was so focused that she didn't notice a gangster was following her. Afterwards, the gangster inquired about the house at a real estate agency and quickly called Huey-ya's lover, telling him, "You haven't been gone long, and that woman has already sold the house. She sold it way below market value. It's a beautiful house, so people are snapping it up." The lover angrily hung up and then played back a recording. The recording featured Ma Huey-ya's loud voice, yelling, "My name isn't in the will. I did everything I could as his wife, but he didn't leave me a single penny. The only asset he left me is the house, but his children are the heirs. If I can't find the will, I don't know what I'm going to do." Back in the present, the lover quickly sent the recording to threaten Huey-ya, making the woman extremely panicked and angry. As the exhibition drew nearer, Woo Ju was helping the staff load the necessary items into the vehicles to transport them to the venue. Afterwards, she said goodbye to her colleagues, as today was her last day working there. Meanwhile, Hai Seong returned home and poured her mother a glass of warm water, saying, "Mom, drink slowly. Once you've finished it, I'll tell you a truth." Jae-gu was rushing to Yoon-jun's pharmacy. He was going to buy a bottle of tranquilizers. I don't know why Hai Seong asked me to pick this up for her and told me to hurry home. Upon hearing this, Yoon-jun understood that Hai Seong was about to tell her mother everything. Jae-gu arrived home just as Hai Seong started revealing the truth. The man Woo Ju is in love with is the son of the woman who stole our house. The truth was revealed, and even Jae-gu jumped up in shock. He exclaimed angrily, "I was polite and greeted that woman earlier. I can't believe Woo Ju knows everything and still accepted to love her enemy's son." The mother couldn't stop trembling and quickly drank the tranquilizers her son had just bought. Her voice shaking, she asked, "Does that boy know everything?" Hai Seong shook her head, saying that he probably didn't know anything. Meanwhile, Woo Ju received a call informing her that everything might have been exposed. Her friend told her to calm down and not to be angry with Hai Seong. At this point, Woo Ju had no regrets. She quickly packed her things and left the company alone. Meanwhile, Dong-jin was at the exhibition venue when he suddenly saw director Sun Woo. He had been looking disheveled for the past few days. Realizing his friend was troubled, Dong-jin kept asking until Sun Woo finally revealed. "A while ago, that section chief Cha came to our office asking to be rehired. He even used the reason that Woo Ju was given a chance, so why not him? So, I asked Wu Ju about it, and she confirmed that she had done something wrong. She even promised me that once the exhibition was over, she would report this to you herself. Dong-jin listened in shock and only wanted to return to Seoul immediately. That night, he called his girlfriend repeatedly, but he couldn't reach her. Dong-jin rushed to the company but found Wu Ju's desk empty, and despite going to all the possible places, he couldn't find her. Wu Ju also didn't dare to answer Dong-jin's calls because director Sun Woo had sent her a message saying Dong-jin knew about her situation. Seeing her boyfriend persistently calling again and again, Wu Ju finally mustered the courage to answer. But Dong-jin's first words weren't an interrogation, but rather concern about where she was. He gently persuaded her, "You didn't do anything terribly wrong. I don't mind it at all, so let's meet up." Seeing her boyfriend's leniency, Wu Ju felt even sadder, so she decided to meet him at her old house. Seeing Dong-jin, she began to explain, "This is my house. The house I lived in for 20 years, until I was kicked out in 2 days. I'm sorry for only telling you all of this now." Dong-jin looked at his girlfriend with concern and gently replied, "It must have been so hard for you to endure all alone." Seeing Dong-jin's somewhat detached attitude, Wu Ju was confused. "Why aren't you angry, but so calm? You should hate me. I'm the one who stabbed you in the back and lied to you. Why are you apologizing to me?" He smiled and said, "It's okay, because in the end, you still chose me." Wu Ju couldn't hold back anymore and burst into tears. Dong-jin went over and hugged her. Wu Ju clutched Dong-jin's shirt, crying, "My family knows who you are now. I tried to hide it so they wouldn't have a biased view of you, but I couldn't anymore. Maybe we can't continue this in the future." Dong-jin silently shed tears for a long time, then released his lover, not looking at her anymore, and resolutely walked forward. Because Dong-jin understood that he wasn't qualified to stay with Wu Ju either. So, Dong-jin sat in silence all night, painfully gnawing at his sorrow in his car. Driving, he reminisced about Wu Ju's emotional states in the past. From the angry look in her eyes on the first day she saw him, to the letting go last night, everything made Dong-jin unable to restrain himself. He burst into heavy tears. A little later, Dong-jin rushed to the real estate agency, where he was informed that his mother had sold the house yesterday and was only waiting for the buyer to transfer the remaining balance to complete the transfer. Dong-jin thanked them and went to the house, but no one answered despite him ringing the bell repeatedly. He made many calls, but his mother was still nowhere to be found. Just then, Sun Woo called and told Dong-jin to return to the company to handle the remaining contracts for the exhibition. Dong-jin considered it for a moment and got up to return to the company. However, during the meeting, although Dong-jin's body was there, his mind was not focused at all. Therefore, the president decisively announced that he would be taking a leave of absence for a while, which surprised director Sun Woo. Thinking that he was upset by Wu Ju's betrayal, Dong-jin explained, "Helping her isn't like that. Wu Ju isn't who you think she is. She has her reasons for doing that. Our breakup wasn't because of that. I'll tell you after my leave." Afterward, director Sun Woo, full of questions, confided in Min Young. She just smiled and said, "Don't worry, because Wu Ju isn't as bad as I am. She's someone who can make Dong-jin happy, and he knows it." Wu Ju, after resigning, returned to work at the pharmacy with her pharmacist friend. When she was busy, it was fine, but when she sat idly, she suddenly remembered the evening she spent talking with her mother. She said, "I broke up with Dong-jin, and I'll never see him again." Her mother said truthfully, "You can't decide this, just go with fate." Wu Ju nodded as if she understood. And back in the present, Wu Ju frankly told her friend, "I'm planning to quit working at the pharmacy. You should start looking for someone now." This made Yoon Jun extremely surprised. That night, the older sister, Hai Seong, called her younger sister to tell her, "I've found a place. The 3 of us sisters will be moving to a different neighborhood to live soon." Afterwards, the 2 sisters went to a bar to confide in each other. Wu Ju was curious as to why her sister was going to such lengths, but Hai Seong replied coldly, "I'm fulfilling my duty as an older sister. I should have done this sooner. We should move to another neighborhood so you can start rebuilding your life. If you stay here, you might run into him at any time." But in contrast to her sister, Wu Ju still wanted the opposite. "I wish I would coincidentally run into him because that's the only way I can see that he's healthy and doing well." Meanwhile, Dong-jin used his vacation time to return to the campsite. He reminisced about everything between him and Woo-ju when they visited the campsite the last time. She had gently told Dong-jin, "The moment I said your back looked hateful, I was actually deceiving myself. I actually thought your back looked so lonely. I wish I could have gone up and hugged it." It felt like only yesterday, but to Dong-jin, it seemed like centuries. Back in the present, he was going to find his foster father. Right at that moment, the foster father was also planning to go somewhere. Seeing Dong-jin arrive, the foster father confided, "I was planning to come find you. A few days ago, your mother came here personally to demand this back." With that, he produced a will and slowly explained, "About a year ago, Huey-ya came to leave this will here. I didn't want to get involved, so I didn't open it to read it. But recently, when she came looking for it, I lied and told her that I had burned it. After opening the paper, I realized she really is a greedy woman. I thought about burning it and turning a blind eye to reduce the pressure on you, but when I thought about the children in the will, I couldn't bring myself to do it." Dong-jin was very grateful that he had kept the paper intact. Then, he quickly left. At the same time, Huey-ya's lover happened to run into Woo-ju. He didn't miss the opportunity and immediately played a recording of the wicked woman for her to hear. After learning the whole truth, Woo-ju didn't fall into the trap. She told the man directly, "I don't need this recording. If there's a will, just give it to me." However, his purpose was to lure Woo-ju into taking the recording so he could accuse Ma Huey-ya in his stead. Nothing good about it at all. Woo-ju knew this clearly, so she firmly refused and warned the lover, "Don't do anything and just keep your mouth shut, otherwise, I'll accuse you first." On the other hand, the pharmacist, Yoon-jun, knew that Hae-seong was still angry at him, so he personally went to her workplace to invite her to eat steak with him. If not, he would feel very uncomfortable. Hae-seong smiled and said yes. Dong-jin returned home and saw his mother hastily swallowing instant noodles. He couldn't help but tell the truth. "Your ex-husband's will is in my hands. Now I'm going to return it to the family whose house you stole." Seeing Dong-jin resolutely leave, Huey-ya immediately went to beg and stop him. "Do you have to see me die to be satisfied? If you reveal it, I won't be able to live." But Dong-jin resolutely snatched his hand away from his mother and quickly left the house. Over there, Woo-ju was calling her mother to explain clearly, "Dad really did leave the house to our family. That woman actually deceived everyone. But even without the house, the four of us can still live happily. But if our family accuses that woman, what will happen to Dong-jin? He once said she was his fatal weakness. I just want him to be happy. I'm so sorry, Mom." But the mother just remained silent, hung up the phone, leaving Woo-ju stunned for a moment. Then, as if having a premonition, she quickly looked behind her, unexpectedly finding Dong-jin standing there. Dong-jin had heard the entire conversation. His eyes gradually filled with tears at the sincere words from the person he loved. After that, Dong-jin quietly sat next to Woo-ju for a while. Noticing the anxiety in her heart, Dong-jin softly said, "I know everything now. I also retrieved your father's will. Your family can use it to reclaim the house that rightfully belongs to you. Don't worry about me either, and don't refuse this offer. Because only when you're happy can I truly be happy." Woo-ju didn't refuse. She tensely took the will. Woo-ju went home and immediately gave the will to her older sister. Hae-seong carefully read each line of the will her father had left behind. It clearly stated, "The real estate of Sim Chul-min will be transferred to his eldest daughter, Sim Hae-seong, as the heir, and the other siblings have the right to co-own the house." The older sister looked at the paper, her heart heavy. Hae-seong began to cry, sobbing more and more. Her choked sobs echoed throughout the house, moving the pharmacist and her younger brother Jae-gu as well. After crying, Hae-seong frankly confided in her younger sister, "I'm not crying because I feel wronged, but because I had planned to abandon Dad when he got old. I even thought about living coldly if Dad lost everything and was forced to return to this family." Hae-seong asked Woo-ju about her next plans, but the younger sister also didn't know what they should do. Therefore, the next morning, Woo-ju and her older sister, along with the pharmacist, went to find a lawyer for advice. After reviewing the documents, the lawyer was surprised that the family only wanted to file a civil lawsuit or resolve the matter peacefully, even though this was clearly a case of fraud and embezzlement that could be prosecuted criminally. Therefore, the lawyer advised the family to consider suing that woman criminally, as this was the fastest way for them to recover their assets. While Wu Ju was lost in thought, she received a text message from Dong-jin. He wanted to meet her tonight. Wu Ju agreed and even confided in her older sister, saying, "I'll meet with Dong-jin to ask him to persuade his mother to return the house peacefully. If we can't resolve it amicably, then we'll choose to file a criminal lawsuit." Hae-seong agreed with her younger sister on this plan. Dong-jin brought a basket of fruit to meet with the buyer of his mother's house. He clearly explained that the house was in dispute due to inheritance issues, so he hoped the family would understand and give up the house. The buyer was also an easy person to talk to. He waved his hand and said, "Then I won't take the house. Just return the principal and the penalty money to us. If you send back that amount of money this month, we'll cancel the contract and consider this sale to have never happened." Dong-jin bowed his head and said, "Thank you. I'll contact you as soon as I prepare the money." Afterward, he returned to the company, determined to tell the director everything from beginning to end. After listening, Sun Woo could only sigh, "You're both pitiful people." And Dong-jin resolutely stated his decision to resign. "I hope you'll help me settle my severance pay and company stock this month." Understanding that his younger colleague wanted to use this money to return it to the buyer today, Sun Woo had no choice but to reluctantly agree. The pharmacist Yoon Jun and the older sister Hae-seong went shopping. On the way back, he suddenly told a story. "In high school, I used to ride the same bus with Wu Ju all the time, but we never spoke. Then one day, we were both late and ended up on the same bus. When we got off at the stop, we accidentally discovered a few couples from our school sneaking into a gynecological clinic. I thought this would soon spread throughout the whole school, but neither of us told anyone about it. I really admired her chivalrous personality. From that day on, we had the opportunity to become friends." Hae-seong wondered, "Why are you telling me this?" and heard the explanation. "I'm telling you so you won't be jealous of Wu Ju. So you'll know that yesterday, when I accidentally heard you crying, I wanted to rush in and hug you tightly. I worried about you all night yesterday and couldn't sleep." Hae-seong's eyes suddenly welled up. Yoon Jun also seized the opportunity and quickly reached out to take her hand. They looked at each other shyly, then intertwined their fingers and went home together. Dong-jin and Wu Ju stopped by a small pub. There, Wu Ju expressed her wish for Dong-jin to persuade his mother to settle the house issue amicably. Dong-jin replied with sincerity, "I will advise my mother. If she doesn't agree, you should follow the lawyer's advice." Wu Ju, hearing this, blamed herself. "Things got so messed up. If I had told you everything from the beginning, maybe things wouldn't be so complicated." Dong-jin sincerely comforted her. "Maybe things would have been different, but the result would still be the same. Because anyway, I think I would have found an excuse to meet and talk to you." Meanwhile, Huey-ya had returned to the house she had seized. While she was relaxing comfortably, the doorbell rang. It turned out that Wu Ju's mother had come to talk some sense into her. Before opening the door, Huey-ya hurriedly ran to fix her appearance to maintain her glamorous mistress image. When they were sitting face to face talking, Wu Ju's mother started with the story of Huey-ya's lover. "That guy came to me and offered to help me sue you if I paid him 30 million. Anyway, thanks to him, I know what kind of men you're into. It proves that my ex-husband's life with you wasn't easy either. He must have had a hellish life. The thing you can be most proud of is probably your kind-hearted son. He must have grown up on his own with great difficulty. So now you should thank him, because if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have let you off so easily. So, be smart and give up this house. If you do, I won't pursue criminal charges against you." This is considered the last chance Wu Ju's mother can give this woman. Huey-ya was unconvinced and still defended herself, loudly scolding, "Who are you to dare to show pity for my son? What is there to pity about him?" She didn't want to say anything more and immediately left. As soon as she left, she unexpectedly ran into Dong-jin. The tall young man also sincerely greeted her. "I apologize for my mother." He also kindly hailed a taxi for Wu Ju's mother to leave. Huey-ya, on the other hand, suddenly received a call from the police station. It turned out that her lover had gone there to give a statement and submit the recording he was holding to the police. Therefore, the police called Huey-ya and asked her to come to the station to cooperate with the investigation. At this moment, Wu Ju's mother had just returned home and immediately called a family meeting. I don't want us to sue. Seeing you kids going in and out of court makes me feel even heavier than seeing your father having an affair. Over here, Huey-ya, cornered, went to her son's house and cried, I also want to have a good life. But living in that way for too long makes it almost impossible for me to start over. Dong-jin was silent for a moment and could only comfort his mother by saying, It's not too late, Mom. You can still live a new and better life. The mother could only quietly say thank you and apologize to her son. Director Sun Woo offered Min Young a job at Best Fairs, recognizing her talent in the field of art exhibitions. He believed that Min Young would be a great asset to the company. Min Young, hearing the offer, pondered and said, I'll consider it, causing Sun Woo to smile sadly and say, I have a feeling Dong-jin won't be returning to the company. He's only been on leave for a month, but it feels like a year has passed. Maybe it's because I don't get to play Go anymore on weekends. Min Young smiled and asked what she had been wondering for a long time. Why are you so nice to me, Director Sun Woo? You know I'm a bad person. Sun Woo also said frankly, I don't feel like you're a bad person. You've returned with repentance, haven't you? Because of that point, I like you and want to be nice to you. At that moment, Dong-jin was chatting with Jae-gu because he wanted to gift his younger brother a really nice guitar. Jae-gu reluctantly refused, but then couldn't. Therefore, he promised to practice really hard. After holding a concert, he would use this guitar in front of an audience. Jae-gu also told his older brother not to change his phone number so that every year he could easily say Happy New Year. Afterwards, Dong-jin lingered for a long time in front of a flower shop because he had an appointment to visit Woo-ju's house for dinner. It turned out that Woo-ju's mother had invited him over for a meal. She seemed very interested in Dong-jin and even said, Young man, if you want to eat anything, just tell me, because I feel very guilty and also grateful to you. Dong-jin quietly ate all of the magnificent meal that was set out. After finishing the meal, Dong-jin and Woo-ju met up again. The atmosphere between them gradually became incredibly awkward. Dong-jin then brought up his plan to quit his job and take some time off. Conversely, Woo-ju sadly said she needed more time before having to say goodbye and farewell to him. Luckily, Huey-ya didn't smile when her lover turned on her and testified against her, leaving her with no choice but to beg Woo-ju's family to write a letter of leniency for her. Knowing this was an impossible task, Huey-ya recklessly decided to find Woo-ju's paternal aunt and ask for contact information. Meanwhile, Director Sun Woo was feeling very uncomfortable because Dong-jin was about to terminate his contract. Just take a leave of absence. I'll call and constantly report on the company's situation until your ears stand up straight. Only that way will you be able to quickly catch up when you return to the company. I'll also keep your office and nameplate exactly as they are. This place will always be waiting for you to come back anytime. Even the employees secretly organized a party to congratulate their president. And there, they didn't call it a farewell party, but a party to congratulate him on becoming a free man. That phrase made Dong-jin very happy, and at the end, he thanked all the staff who had been with him during the past time. As for Huey-ya, she stubbornly stood rooted at Woo-ju's aunt's hair salon for 3 days straight. Out of desperation, the aunt had to call and report this to Woo-ju. So, she still decided to meet that woman. Huey-ya stared at Woo-ju for a long time before realizing that this girl used to be Dong-jin's subordinate. Moreover, she had also dressed provocatively at the funeral to cause trouble. This made her really shocked. She started piecing everything together and understood everything. Afterwards, Huey-ya started shouting, and to those scolding words, Woo-ju only gently said, I will send the letter of leniency by email for you. It's just that from now on, we don't owe each other anything anymore. I'll also stop resenting you. Moreover, I sincerely hope you will live well. Huey-ya heard this, felt ashamed, and left immediately. When she got home to Dong-jin, she asked her son, It's because you love Woo-ju, isn't it? Receiving a confirming nod from her son made Ma Huey-ya realize everything. She just choked with sobs, feeling sorry for her poor young son. That night, Woo-ju contacted Dong-jin to say, Tomorrow I want to go with you to the campsite you mentioned before. So the next day, under the beautiful scenery of the campsite, Woo-ju and Dong-jin walked together. Woo-ju decided this would be the last thing she did with Dong-jin before they broke up. She also didn't want to shed tears when saying goodbye today. Dong-jin sincerely thanked Woo-ju for the love she had given him. That love is greater than all the pain you brought. so I promise I won't be miserable, but from now on, they would live life to the fullest and not be boring. Only when it was time to part ways did they finally embrace tightly. But in the end, they still couldn't say goodbye. A year later, Hae-seong and Yoon-jun were a loving couple. Their relationship grew stronger every day, and they started talking about marriage and were ready to move in together under one roof. Min-young had also become a part of their small extended family. She understood the director's feelings for her. However, she wasn't bothered by them and was happy to maintain their more than friends, less than lovers relationship. Woo-ju's family had given their home a warmer look with family pictures. As for Woo-ju, she was now working at a company specializing in constructing partitions for exhibition events. Even though she no longer worked at Best Fairs, she maintained good relationships with her colleagues. However, no one really knew where Dong-jin was. Not even Woo-ju knew if he was doing well. Because every time she accidentally passed by places they used to frequent, Woo-ju unconsciously slowed her pace, hoping to see her loved one again, but she never saw Dong-jin. Meanwhile, Dong-jin was enjoying his journey exploring the world. He rented a mobile home and traveled to faraway lands, admiring the beautiful scenery he had always dreamed of. Today was also the day Dong-jin returned to Seoul and had an appointment to meet an old friend. While talking to his friend, the friend suddenly noticed that the once boring Dong-jin now knew how to joke and laughed more, becoming an interesting and vibrant person. That night, Hae-seong had the opportunity to confide in her sister. "Do you know that our mother said she would send food to Dong-jin whenever he wants? If that's really mom's conclusion for you, then it's also my decision. So now there's nothing that can stop you two from being together." Outside, Jae-gu had also eavesdropped on the whole conversation. He quickly sent a message to Dong-jin informing him about his upcoming performance and inviting him to attend. The next day, Jae-gu sent the same invitation to his sister. He even pleaded in a message, "The chance of Dong-jin appearing at my performance is 50-50th. But no matter what, you must come." Dong-jin really did come to the performance. But when he saw that Jae-gu hadn't gone on stage yet, he quickly turned around to leave. Not long after, it was Jae-gu's turn to go on stage. At that moment, Woo-ju also happened to arrive. She stood in a corner, listening attentively to her brothers singing, without noticing Dong-jin standing next to her with fresh flowers in his hand. Then, when Woo-ju accidentally turned around, in the sea of people, they suddenly saw each other, causing them both to smile brightly.